What we do here is go back.
Well, good evening to all our viewers of the Chase Kohlmeyer YouTube channel. My name is Mikey Santiago Sayas, and I'll be your expert analyst for the little remaining segment of our evening. We're gonna have the best of results. We have a little bit of a dry break coming from Chris. It's not such a bad position to get a little bit of safety out of the one. But I think Chase is going for the corner. I think it ricocheted out of the 7, so it stayed by the rail. So it's up to Chris if he's going to go for the cut or if he's just going to go for another safety. He instead goes for a kick. Chase then plays the 1 by the middle pocket. Does not get such a good positioning on the 2. But he could make it work. Trying to come around with the rail back to the 3. It seems like he's going for a kick. He got a little bit short on that too, so instead sits to 4 and has a ball in hand for Chris. Just a little bit of insight. I've been a great pool admirer ever since I was a little kid, especially because of my dad, who had a little bit of experience in the pro arena back in my home country, Puerto Rico. I really haven't been exposed to much of what real pool looks like. So I apologize if my views or like perspective and comments are not that great and like insightful. But I'm just as a excited viewer as any of you guys are, and really hope for the best for two of our greatest players and great friends. So it seemed like Chris was considering jumping over the 9 to hit the 4, but he reverted back to a kick and called the 4 in the bottom left pocket. I wasn't able to view the shot in its entirety, but it seemed like it did hit a solid contact with the 4 and got a little bit unlucky with the positioning where the Q and the 4 ended up like. So it seems like this is a very great opportunity for a run out from Chase Kohlmeyer. There's really no problem balls for what I can see. Watch that draw. He's just playing with our cardiac capabilities, but he did not end up in such a terrible position for the 6. This is a very uncanny situation coming from Chase. He usually does not miss shots like those, but and then Chris takes advantage and see if he can cease this big mess up that Chase usually did with a bank. And watch it, because it seems like the cue ball came a little bit short, but there could be another bank opportunity here to get positioning in the 8 and finish it off. If he comes around this, I would say that the rack is really is pretty much Chris's grasp, but it rattles around the pocket and doesn't quite go in. So it rolled way too much, but I believe that the 8 ball is still a pretty straight shot. If anything, he should be worrying a little bit about the positioning in the 9 without moving the 10 so much. He's going for a little bit of a draw, I believe, if not a stun. Oh no, he called the 10. And with that, that's the end of the first rack. And Chase Kohlmeyer I didn't see the ball that he pocketed, but it seems like he's still on the... Oh, I think it was the 1 ball. If anything, I think he's going for a push. And maybe he'll push onto the 10. Up until... No, he did not make contact with the 10. He just... passed it.
Yeah, I'm going to take a wild shot at no here. Very much over.
We have a little bit of a sportsmanship conversation discussion between our two players. Chris decided not to take the push, and now Chase is up to and misses the 2 ball with a foul, leaving Chris with another ball in hand. This is the second ball in hand in our race from Chase Kohlmeyer. So we have a great member in our audience today. It's Chris's mom, Stephanie. I'll let him know after this rack is done that you're sending him support. So from there, he took a really good shot on the 2 and now has the possibility of running out. If anything, the only problem ball would have been the 5, but Chris handled it pretty well, pushing the 5 towards the bottom. Now he has an open field to make this rack his own, but still he lost focus with a little bit of giggling and joking around and misses the 4 ball. By the way, your mom says hi.
My mom is in the chat. Thanks for commentary. Love Chris's mom. Hell yeah. If that doesn't tell you the state of the Purdue Billiards Club, I don't know what.
I mean, I told my dad, but he did not. He did watch the video, the highlights.
Oh,
he
did?
much enjoyed it. Yeah.
He enjoyed it?
Yeah, he did
That's
enjoy
good.
it.
That's good. We gotta get your old man up here sometime.
I mean, he's coming over the summer.
Yeah?
Yeah, but he's coming for my brother, so I don't know if he'll probably spend time here.
You're welcome.
You want to say hi to Chris's mom?
What did I say?
We had a good view of what Chris's positioning was on the 5, but he rolled and scratched the ball, having a first foul in the match. And with that, I think this is pretty much a wrapper for our second rack. He might go for a little bit of a draw after the 7, yeah, to keep track of the 8 ball. With that, he'll draw with a little bit left English up to the 9. That was a lot more draw than I expected him to do. And even risk a scratch, yes, and that's the 3rd foul this match. Sorry if I keep misleading you guys, thinking this is pretty much a wrap-up, but we're having a little bit of mental congestion in both of our players. I'm pretty sure having a race to 9, by the 4th, 5th rack, they'll be pretty much up to their full potential if it does not decline because of exhaustion. We've been playing since 1 p.m. It's already 7 p.m. That leaves like 6 hours of playing, and especially for Chris, who had an extra game trying to define between Ryan and himself whether to go to the finals against Chase. So right now we have an undefeated player, Chase, and a loser, the person from the losers branch, Chris. That he has a little bit of an uncomfortable position on the 9, but I believe he can handle that with a little bit of a follow coming from 1 rail up to the 10. Oh, he went from 3 rail. But I think he still has good positioning to finish it off in the bottom left corner. We have one of our viewers, Edward, a fellow member of PBC, asking how did Charles get eliminated, and Charles got eliminated against Ryan Wu. Not a terrible break, but not a great one either. We have a little bit of frustration, understandably. It was a dry break with the weird uncomfortable positioning in the 1. Chase is calling a push. See if maybe he'll push the 7, yes. Stop the cue ball from moving and get a position on the 1. I think he is able to see the 1 down into the bottom right corner.
Yeah. Go for it.
And with that, I don't know how he will go for positioning up to the 2 unless he's able to draw and go for the 2 in the middle. No, the draws got a little bit of complete horizontal response after the collision with the 1. I don't know if he'll go for safety, or he called the 2 in the corner. Maybe he's able to see. From this position, I really can't see how much. That wasn't a foul, even though Chris was a little bit of a ironic with the result of that shot, but. Chase got a little bit short on that too, having foul number 4 in this race. And with that, we'll have a little bit of a slight run out from Chris, I believe. Oh, he missed it too with a ball in hand, and I believe he moved his cue when striking. So if anything, the run out becomes from Chase's side of the corner this time. Have a little bit of athletic stretch coming from Chase to reach for that 2. Take a little bit on the 3 to bring it up, and now with that we can have a straight shot into the corner and maybe have a little 1 rail, I believe, to the 4. He missed a 3. We're having very unusual misses from both of our players for the past 3 racks. But again, I really believe that by the 4th or 5th rack, there will probably be a little bit more in their zone. I'm sorry at times to stay quiet, but I'm paying so close attention to the roll of that cue ball and to how close he got to the 4. But I think he can still go a little bit of inverted cut for the 4 and go into the corner. But I mean, position on the 5 would not be that concerning. I think he had 3 or 4 bounces off the rails to get by the 10 into the 5, and with that he can roll onto the 6 if he has the space by the 8 ball, which I am not able to see. I think from the camera angle, you can see a slight opportunity from a rail, but he ran by the 8 ball instead. I think he hit a little bit of it too hard. I think he went for a kick. I wasn't sure. I'm not sure if that was a foul. I don't think it was. I think he was able to hit the 6 in its entirety, but he made it in without calling it, and it's now Chase's opportunity to get the 3rd rack into his pocket, making it 3-0. I believe that it's not much of an issue to finish this off. You could just stun the 8 ball to keep position in the 9. Although I think he's giving a little bit of a roll. See, he has a little bit of an angle. So the 9, and then you could just either stun it or try to use a rail or 2 to come by the 10. I think he might use 2 rails in this one. I think the English wasn't enough, so it collided with the 10. And now he has a 50-50 position on the 10 to finish this 3rd rack. He might go for a kick, but that is an extremely risky shot, especially with the history he has had in the past 3 racks with kicks. I believe he has taken 2 kick shots and missed both of them. And that's where some of the fouls has come in, and the other opportunity or option would be for a bank into the middle pocket, which is what he just called. And it seemed like it got a little bit short on that, so it's up to Chris to finish it off into the the top right corner. I think from the camera, if he should be fine. He should not be scratching off this, especially if he's giving it follow with left English. But he got a little bit short on it, so he undercut that 10 ball now. Leaves Chase with a very weird invert cut position for the 10. But I'm pretty sure it's not going to be much of a issue for Chase to block it and finish our third rack of the night. Yeah, there was a little bit of a cliffhanger there, almost hanging, but he managed to get it in. And with that, it's 3-0. And with that, we have two pockets in the top left corner. I think it was the 4 and the 5 went in.
I guess it's
Not such a great position on the 1. From where I'm sitting, I can't be able to tell if he's able to pass the 6. And from the camera, I think it is possible. So if anything, he could give it a little bit of right English with a little bit of draw, so that he can come from 1 rail, maybe 2 rail, into the position of a 2 into the middle pocket. But he's calling a very... I wasn't paying attention to their conversation, but he called the bottom left corner, so maybe he was trying to bank it off the top rail into the bottom pocket. It did not turn out as he planned out, with not such a terrible position on the 1, so Chris was going for a safety by the 3 and the 9, but instead the 1 peaked a little bit too much. I believe Chase called the 9 ball into the pocket with a kick, but he completely missed and almost risked another ball in hand. Although it did not leave such a terrible position for as a safety, it was a very lucky safety, if anything. And Chris called a kick onto the bottom left corner, but he passes and graces the 1 ball, leaving another ball in hand for Chase. I think this is Chris's 2nd or 3rd foul.
Oh, I will be darned. How was Charles kicked out? By Ryan, right?
Yeah.
I'm your opponent. So do with that as you will.
Have you been speaking too loud? Or
No, you
got
better.
it. Because I'm fairly close to the table, so I'm a little bit concerned of speaking too loud and leaving our players unfocused. He was trying to go for the 10 combo, 110 combo, but instead it hit the corner of the pocket and came up down to the table, leaving Chris with a shot straight into the middle pocket, I believe, and doesn't leave such a terrible position for the 2. It comes somewhat naturally. Yep, having a 1 rail up to the 2, staying pretty much in the place he was with the 1 ball. Although I'm a little bit concerned of a foul off the 9, but I think it should be fine. He missed the 2 with the bank, and Chase goes ahead into considering a jump over the 6 to hit the 2 into the corner. Okay. He grazed the 2, barely touching it, which honestly does not leave him in such a bad position. Or it leaves Chris in a bad position, but not a bad position for him. If anything, he could try to go for a bank by the 7 into the middle pocket, but I think that's kind of a risky shot, so he's probably gonna go for an aggressive bank. I honestly thought he would opt for a safety instead. Okay, he just called the pocket, but he went more for a safety and instead ran past the 8 into a foul and ball in hand with a scratch. Living chase pretty much with an open field to do as he may wish to finish this 4th rack. So if anything, he just needs to worry about getting a good position when switching from the 6 to the 7, and I think from there it's a game that he can take easily over. So he went for the draw as expected onto the 6, and now it's where the game is defined to be either Chris's or Chase's. So he goes for the follow and almost kissing with a 9. But leaves a very open shot for the 7. And with that, he draws aggressively, having no risk from being covered by the 9. And now he just has to roll by using the rails to get position on the 9 and the 10. With a 2 rail, he gets position on the 9 very, very nicely. Not great, but kind of manageable. If anything, if he's planning to go for the bottom corner, he might risk a scratch, but I think he's going for the cut, which is an extremely smart decision, in my opinion. He just might risk hitting the corner instead of pocketing the ball, but he just gets the shot in and pushes to 10, and it's now or never. Having pretty much of a 50-50 on that 10 ball for the second time. I believe it was the last rack where he also had a 50-50 position on the 10 ball by the bottom of the table. But I think this shot is a little bit more comfortable than the one earlier he had. He can go for a cut or for a bank into the side. And he goes for the bank, and that's the wrap of rack number 4, leaving our score for the third one will be. And that starts us off into rack number 5, leaving the streak that Chris has had with dry breaks, but it has a little bit of an uncomfortable position because of how close it is to the 4 and how the 1 is not easily visible. So yeah, so as expected, Chris is going for a push. I wonder what position he's going to leave the push in. Yes, by the pocket, so it leaves pretty much of an open shot for the 1 if it can pass by the 10 ball. But I'm not quite sure. If anything, he's going to probably try to catch that corner in his favor to bounce into the pocket. He's still trying to decide whether or not to take the shot. But I believe he has enough confidence to take that in. And it does not seem like he would have a terrible position on the 3 after that shot if he manages it. You just might risk missing and leaving Chris with a chance of having the first rack in his favor. But it bounced off the corner. And just as we were concerned, worried, it seems like Chris has a pretty open table. I don't see any problem balls to worry about. If anything, just try to avoid them and get in position for the next one, and it should be good. It has a very nice cut, although it has a little bit of too much speed to get position on the 3. He might try to get for the 3 using a kick with a slight cut when coming from the rail, which I think is what he's going for. If not, he's probably going for no, he went for a kick into the bottom of the table, which was not at all what I expected. If anything, that's a little bit more of a two-way shot, especially of how nicely it got in contact with the 4, leaving Chase with less options. But he makes contact, and we still have a streak of clean shots. I believe we haven't had a foul in a while. I think the last foul was when Chris scratched into the middle pocket in the last rack. But I believe with this, Chris might finish off the... Oh, I think it did not push the 7 enough. So he might have to go for other options to see how he gets rid of the 4. We have a little bit of a pensive space for Chris's decision to whether or not go for a kick off the side rail or a kick from the top rail, and manages to get contact with the 4 and actually keeps a clean shot. But it might cost them, as the position for the 4 and pretty much the rest of the balls are not that concerning for players. And Chase goes for a stun into the position of the 5 into the middle pocket. He might roll the 5 a little bit to get a little bit more better angle with the 6. Nothing too concerning, and from here he might give a left English to come down for the 7. I believe he rolled it too much because he gives him too little of an angle, but he opts for a top roll with left English to get position on the 7. Yep, and it cost him a little bit because he unexpectedly hit the 9 ball coming down from the 7 instead of having the option of going for the bottom corner. But it does not seem like much of a struggle shot, just going for a longer, riskier shot for the top left corner. Oh no, he went for the middle pocket, which honestly might result in a little bit of a two-way shot. It seems like it's almost making contact with the rail, having a very uncomfortable cut, but if it actually hits the rail in the wrong spot, might make Chris miss the shot. Yeah, and what I was concerned about cutting it way too early and hitting too early on the bottom rail to hit the left corner of the pocket instead of the right corner to go in, and this is pretty much Chase's opportunity to finish this off. He just has a very, and the same thing happened to Chase where he undercut and it hits the rail too early coming off of it and hitting the left corner of the pocket. But it doesn't have such a... It left a pretty good lead. And a little bit of a challenge for Chris to try to take over the 7. if anything, he might want to go for kick, but I think he's just gonna go with bank into a safety here. But he hit it a little bit too hard. If anything, it has a very uncomfortable combo onto the 8 because it's a very long combo. We have all our 3 object balls spaced in halfway from each other. So we have the cue ball in the bottom rail, the 8 ball in the top rail, and the 7 pretty much in the middle of the table. But Chase might surprise us. I don't think he has a straight shot for the 7 unless he catches a little bit of the rail, which is what he does. Yes, he's such a good shot. And with this, we just have a slight cut for the 8 and can give it a little bit of a roll for the position in the 9. Made a little bit of contact and may have helped him, if anything, to get the 9 closer to the pocket and the cue ball a little bit straighter into the 9, so he just have to draw for the 10. Yep. And with that, I think that's the end of rack number 5. Leaving the score of 5-0. In a normal league match, this would have been over. And we have the 7 ricocheting from the 3, pocketing the.
Let's go.
And it honestly seems like a break and run opportunity for Chase, having an open 1 ball. And the 2 ball is pretty much by the pocket as well. The 3 ball is by the 2. The 4 is also by the pocket. The 5 and 6 seems like it might be a little bit of a problem. But knowing Chase's creativity and ability to come around, and he got unlucky, ricocheting from the 6, coming into a pocket. And it might seem like there's just a run out coming from Chris. But honestly, with the way they've been playing for the past couple of racks, I think it's kind of doubtful. But I'm not trying to downplay these players' capabilities and abilities. I've first-handedly experienced them being their opponent. Much of respect, but they have been having a very long day playing. And just as we expected, we have a nice cut for the 3 into the corner. Although we have a little bit of inverted cut for the 4, or he might just go for the other corner, which is what I think he might go for, and get a little bit of position up for the 5. A very good shot, but it doesn't. There wasn't really that many options for a position on the 5 that was more comfortable. So if anything, he might go for safety or just have an aggressive bank, which is what he would opt for, calling the middle pocket. And that was a great bank coming from Chris, having a terrific position on the 6. And now we can just let the ball go as it wants to go and finish the rack off to have a 5-1 score. And I guess it's just commentator Chris, because I keep saying that the score is going to be updated with a run out or a break and run, and everybody just misses the moment I say that.
Whatever.
Chase calls the bottom left corner, so it's probably attempting a bank from the opposing long rails or further rails. But it seemed like he gave an unconscious spin onto the 6th ball and came too soon on the left rails. But it hit the corner and might have seemed like he was going for who was actually going to make the ball, but it just ricocheted from the rail instead. And with this, we have unintentional safety being covered from the for the 6 being covered by the 8. He calls a kick. He goes very aggressive and confident, having another scratch. So it seems like this is not Chris's match. Having a 6-0. If anything, I'm just going to shut myself up and not say that the score is going to be updated, because I don't want my players to keep missing. But he has a great position coming from the 6 onto the 8. And you can just have a slight draw, if not a stun, to stay in position and in line with the 9, to give another stun and finish off the 10 in the middle pocket. I think that's the most comfortable way to finish off. If not, he just might give it a little bit of a roll and finish the 10 in the bottom corners. If not, he might give it a little bit of a draw into finishing the 10 ball in the middle corner or the top corner. He opts for a draw, which being able to see Chase's game for the past 2 years, I think it's pretty natural for him to opt for the draw option, and honestly, it pays off, because it's already 6-0 between Chase and Chris. We still wish all but the best to both of our players, and for both of them to still enjoy even after frustrations. And with that, we are now off to our 7th rack. We have a very strong momentum coming from Chase, which might seem like he can be able to finish the race off with keeping Chris in the minimum points.
Why is this happening to me right now?
Chris wanted to leave a little bit of a comment to our viewers. You guys, our viewers. To calm down his frustration. But by that, we have Chase in a very comfortable position for a run now. If anything, I was going to say that the problem balls were the 7 and the 9, and now he seemed to make it a little bit worse, bringing the 8 ball into that cluster. But he is, as I said earlier, an ingenious player and has incredible creativity when it comes to dealing with trouble balls. So I'm not that concerned for him, especially because the cluster's by the pocket, so he might combo or cannon in a one way or another to finish and get rid of those balls. He hits the ball a little bit too hard, coming back to that cluster that seems to be the one that's going to define this race, this rack. We have that call for the 7 into a double combo. The 9 got released, but almost clustered with the 10, but it still has a free shot. It doesn't seem like I'm very surprised that for a minute I thought that the next ball was the 5 ball, but he was calling the 4 ball. So now we just have another uncomfortable position between the 9 and the 10. Although it might be easily dealable after hitting the 4 into a cut in the corner and pushing the 10 out of the place, but he misses the shot and misses the 10 ball. So we have Chris the opportunity to at least deal with most of the balls right now. Again, he just has to deal with the 4 and Yep, then slightly pushed the 10 ball as he just did. Which makes his job a lot easier to now run. I know this is a little bit off the scenes, but from where I'm standing, you can see both players' frustration when sitting down by the cues, having a little bit of long faces. But all the best, we all know it's been a tiring day. They have great potential and great pool in their veins, so no matter what the result is, we all know the semester, the upcoming semester is gonna come strong with all of our players playing even stronger than before. And Chris had a very unusual miss with a combo from the 6 and the 8. Believes Chase in a very comfortable position for it. Cut along the rail, which he was overcut unusually. Again, my dear audience, all these unusual misses are probably as a result from such a long day. And Chris had the opportunity to reattempt that combo between the 6 and the 8. Although he has a little bit of a stretchy shot for the 6, not that concerning. He just needs to bridge. It might give him his first rack. He has a very nice roll up to that 9 ball. It doesn't have that much of an angle, and it seemed a little bit concerning to be by the corner of the middle pocket, but he might still have a straight shot for the 9. And with this, I think he might be able to finish it off. Having a terrific shot on that 9 ball and great position on that 10 ball, so he can finish it off. And with that, we have 6-1. Having our first rack in favor of Chris. Off. I believe it's because of the sticker having a little bit of uneven surface and texture that just has a tendency to roll forward and separate from the rack. So that's why we have our player Chase struggling and getting frustrating over the position the rack actually leaves off the balls at. But with that, we got a solid break. We have a little bit of a down playing coming from Edward, saying how Chris was actually how he was able to beat Edward, especially because Edward was playing a pretty solid pool against Chris earlier today. That was off the camera, I believe. It was in our second diamond table. It was not being showed. If I'm not mistaken, it showed the second half of the game. And again, we just had great plays from great players. I wasn't even paying attention to what is happening in the game right now, and I think there's a foul. I wish I could be able to replay that moment, because it was a very interesting behavior coming from that cue ball, and the way it bounced off the rail and came out of the table. But with that, we have a ball in hand.
I tried it earlier, and I was like, you know what? It's a mistake every time.
Chris opted not to do a 1 to 10 combo. He just wants a little bit of sportsmanship and entertainment for the rest of the evening. He has a great position on the 2 for the middle pocket. And with that, he might even just roll or draw with right English to come from the 3 and behind. Yes, for the top right corner. I sometimes wish we had a professional cameraographer so he could just move around into what.
Oh yeah.
Like,
Are you for real?
and the 4 ball was spitted off the corner pocket. And we have frustration coming from Chris, who honestly justified. And with that, we have a very comfortable position for Chase to go from here. Although he hit it quite hard and having too much angle on that 5 ball. Although he probably could play a 2 rail and position into the 6th. But it is in the middle of the table, so he might risk a scratch from that. But he gives it a roll, yeah, I think he should be fine. Although he overcut the ball and hit the right corner of that pocket. That Chris missed that 5 ball and giving the stage for Chase to take on another shot for that 5. And now he goes for I don't know if you guys were able to hear Chase's commentary after his shot, but he was attempting safety and completely missed the ball, leaving the ball available for us to take advantage of. And with that, he's calling the 10 with a combo bank for them. And it did completely the opposite of what we expected. With that, we're going to respot the 10 ball into the sticker. So it's up to Chase to decide whether he wants to take this shot or not. And I believe he has an open shot for the 6, so he's definitely taking that shot on. And has a very comfortable position out of the 7 after that. So from there, you can do a 2 rail for the 8. And he gives it right English with follow, but again, he asks for the draw. Having just a 1 rail position on that 8 ball, very, very nicely done. And that he can just simply follow a little bit with 1 rail for that 9 ball coming down the table. As I foresaw, that's a little bit of a uncomfortable position, being too close to the rail, but it should not pose much of a challenge for him to finish this off. From here, you can just follow with a 2-3 rail. He hit it definitely softer, so it was just a 2 rail with a straight shot for the 10 ball in the top right corner. And with that, I think we can call off the 8th rack of the race, leaving the score 7-1. Maybe Chris might be overtaken by one of our favorite pool players, Soul, finishing this off. But from there, we don't have a dry break, which is very nicely.
PSA, don't buy Master Chalk.
And we have anti-advertisement coming from Chase. Downplaying the Master Shock. I think Chris might be able to pass by the 9 into the corner, but it rattles with the corner of the pockets. Wink! There's a pop-up in his computer. Should I just...
I would ignore it.
Yeah. I think it's because you slightly unplugged it and you grabbed it. The camera went blank for a little bit, but... No, it's fine. It's fine. What? Just have a slight loading moment, but with that we can just keep watching and getting entertained from this game. And we have a very nice cut coming from Chase. It wasn't as great as he envisioned it, but it wasn't against him here. If anything, it would just left him a little bit more uncomfortable trying to get position on that 6 ball. Rolling too much? No, he did not have to worry about that. From here is pretty much downhill. Having a follow position for the 7. I'm envisioning a draw, probably. It's very unusual for Chase to go for the follow shots that we've seen so far, but it might be more comfortable for him to follow from here, so he goes and opts for the follow to stay in place, even though he did not intend that at all. As he pulled off, if you guys were able to hear that. Yeah, it still leaves a very comfortable position on that 8 ball. It's not such a challenging shot for him. Oh yeah. Is that just his mom? Rachel Lansdorfer?
Chase. Who's Rachel Lansdorfer?
That would be my question.
Oh, we have a little lover in our audience.
Let's just ban her from the...
So with that, I think Edward talked about the stream looking different, but I wonder different how. I don't see anything different on the screen. If anything, just let us know. We can fix that pretty easily. We have a hang ball on that 9 ball. And we might have a rack in Chris's favor again, making it 7-2.
Are you sure that wasn't, when you got your first rack?
He may have followed and rolled a lot more than he would have wished for and preferred, but I think he still has a very good position on that 10 ball. Going for a soft shot, and with that we have a 7-2. It has been so far. Again, this is the first time I've ever done this in my life. I would not say I'm the most capable player and knowledgeable player, especially when spectating, into determining which options the player might choose upon and which play might be the best for them to take on. But all learning from here. And we have a very unusual miss coming from Chase as well. We've been having a very interesting race today, especially with everybody's exhaustion accumulating.
I am now auctioning off my cues, starting at $2. Just kidding.
We just have a nice cut to the 3 ball and might get a position on the 4 if it does not scratch, which sadly it did. We did not get the opportunity to see Chris show off for a little bit, sadly, unfortunately, but again we are planning to repeat this whole process next semester with new members upcoming year, school year. So if you are interested, just join us next time. He has good positioning for the 6 after pocketing the 5, and he might draw for the 7. Into the middle pocket a little bit. He drew a lot more than he would have wished for. He might be able to cut the 7 to the side unless he opts for a straight shot, which I think might hit the 8, but he seems to be able to see what we can't see between the camera. Oh no, never mind, he did opt for a cut into the middle pocket. So Chris has an opportunity to get another rack in his favor.
What is?
Yeah, I asked him like, bro, what exactly do you mean different? Seems fine. And he never responded.
Oh, okay. Thanks, Edward.
Edward being a very useful member,
Yes,
invaluable
great-
member of the club.
Great job at being in the comment section, doing absolutely nothing. Thanks, Edward. Very cool.
He still hasn't taken a shot on, but it seems like he's going down for it and get a little bit of a draw for the 8-ball in the middle. Oh no, it actually pushed a little bit.
It's alright. Maybe I don't deserve better. Maybe I don't deserve anything. It's alright. There's been a lot of collective, shooting themselves in the foot going on here.
I am limbless at this point then.
He still has a possible shot for the 8-ball, which he takes on very nicely with a very confident stroke, with a terrific position on that 9-ball. With that, he just might cut and hit 2 rails or 3 rails in position of the 10. Seems like it goes for 2 rails and had a cut for the 10-ball, having 7-3. I'm sorry, I hit the mic. Huh?
You ought to be able to make this one. Chris versus
Yeah. No. And that seems like we're done with this rack.
You're throwing top.
And he threw that ball away, hitting the corner of the rail instead of actually pocketing the ball. But it was not such a bad leave, leaving it pretty much against the rail and the cue ball on the opposite side of the table. Chris is containing himself from cursing as much as possible. Here in the PBC, he's largely known for being the member that curses the most, especially over frustration of his shots. But today he has been a good boy. He has only cursed, I believe, once or twice. So it's an ongoing joke between us members. And with that, we have done. Fortunately, we have another dry break from Chris.
Making a ball on the break was doing your taxes. There's a reason why I'm not getting any balls on the break. I'm not admitting anything. Question mark.
We had another unusual miss.
Maybe you're right. Maybe I've been investing my money in the wrong way.
Yes.
8 ball. I'm shooting the 8 ball.
He's calling the 8-ball for the corner pocket and with a combo in the 9 and completely missing the 1. That's impressive.
God. Oh man, which one of these is the ones that you actively use?
I mean, I think it's the one with more shots.
Whichever one you say no to, it's big.
And we have a baseball play with a strikeout coming from Chris, the pitcher.
Have my whole left leg up in the air.
We need to work on those mechanics, but
Yeah, he won't even go AAA at this point.
you need to work a little bit on that elbow, like aiming, you know.
It's like a Hispanic father watching his little kid play baseball. I told you, look at Jordan.
But with that, Chase has already made 3 balls in with a terrific position on the floor, and really much all the balls are open. Having the opportunity to have a run out from here. had a little bit of a discussion between our players talking about the tip. And Chase's cue, it seems like it barely has any tip left. It may have gotten a little bit disfigured, which may have cost a lot of his weird shots. And now we have another foul coming from Chase, scratching on that middle pocket. Which leaves Chris in a very comfortable position to finish off this rack. Have a slight stun, keeping position on the 8, and from here I think he might one rail for the 8th ball. He manages the 8 ball coming around from the other side of the 9 ball. He may have been a little bit concerned over the scratch, but I got a pretty solid position on the 9 with no angle for the 10 for a rail. So he just might draw from here. Worrying again about scratching, but from here he had a slight angle, it seems, which I did not see at first, which left him great position for the 10 and finished this off, having a 7-4. Very aggressive break with very solid results. I believe he already pocketed 2 balls in and has a straight shot for that 1, even though they're pretty much kissing very close to each other. But it should not be that problematic. If anything, he might be able to roll it off for the 3. Although it seems like he's just going to stun it to avoid a double tap foul. But he missed the 1, leaving it by the pocket.
Got it.
He overcuts that 1 ball, leaving it literally in the pocket, hanging the ball, leaving Chase another opportunity and attempt for that 1 ball, getting position on the 3 with a very good shot. From here, I think he might worry about the 4 ball if it does not roll properly from the cushions. But it came a little bit short. But if anything, left him a little bit of an angle so he can stay in track with the 5 ball down the table, or up the table, I mean. Although he touched that 5 ball unintentionally, pushing it to the left and pretty much hiding the cue ball by the 10 ball. But he still has slight view on that 5 ball into the middle pocket, if not all the way down the rail for a corner shot. And he still opts for the middle, so if anything, he might worry now whether or not he gets a good position on the 7 to the 8, because they're pretty close to each other, but he just might do a 2 rail with a follow. If anything, the 3 rail might be a little bit too steep. But it's over on the option table. Instead, he opts for a draw and vaguely pushing the 8 ball down the table, pretty much leaving him with 2 options in the middle or the bottom of the table. I think he's going to opt for the middle so he can just roll the cue ball very nicely for the 9. Although he ran a lot shorter than he would have preferred the ball to have done, leaving it pretty much a 50-50 ball. But it seems like he has a very comfortable. He opts for a bank instead of a cut. I think he might have worried about coming behind the 10 with a 3 rail, but instead he missed bank and now leaves the ball open for the middle and rolling from a one rail in the bottom to the top of the table to finish it off in the 10. And with that is pretty much 10 in the night. Where we might worry a little bit about having the rack and roll close on us while finishing the game. But I believe it's still manageable, especially if Chase gets his mind in the game and finish it off with 2 consecutive wins. But I believe this rack specifically might go in favor of Chris, bringing it 5-7. Especially because he was down a little bit of a difference. Now I think he has gotten, out of all his breaks, only 2 of them have not been dry. And I think that number may remain the same. He did not pocket anything, but it's not a clear view on that one. I think Chase might go for a jump. A long jump over the 5. Want to see the replay?
What'd you say?
You want to see the replay?
Why not?
What a terrific break.
I do have a pretty solid 10-ball break. When it's from the left side, I think it's a good break.
With that, he misses the 1 ball, and we have Chris back on the table. We still haven't gotten feedback from our audience to how well I've done so far tonight. I'm just going to assume that I've been the best you've ever encountered in your life in pool matches you've seen. So I'll just blow up myself. Help me sleep at night. With that, I think Chase called the bottom right pocket for a bank, but he misses and leaves another open shot for Chris. I think Chase has reached a point of exhaustion where Chris is coming back from, as he's had a lot more games in comparison to Chase. So it seems like Chris is recovering from that, and that explains how many games or racks in a row he has won. Well, Chase has been lagging a little bit behind and having his shots gotten in decline from there. Not to discredit their abilities and capabilities, but again, it's been a very long day. And with that, I think Chris might go for a draw after the 3 to get position on the 4. Although he did roll a lot more than I thought he would. He seems comfortable with it. There's no explicit reaction into uncomfort. But well, besides having to deal with the pillar that we all hate and getting into those pockets, calling a bank into the pocket he's now standing in. Instead, he hits the 9 unintentionally, pushing the 4 ball down the table. And another open shot for Chase. Getting that shot on very comfortably, and a very comfortable position as well for the 5 ball. He might just have to do a slight roll to get a little bit less angle, so that when he comes off the 6, he doesn't go far from the 7, or far of a position for the 7. Although he has to extend a lot more than he would have wished to take this shot on, but it doesn't seem like it's unnaturally uncomfortable for him, because he just opts to take the shot without the extension bridge. and gets a really solid position on that 7 ball to try to finish it off. Having the 7 ball really comfortable for the pocket in the corner, and having a very somewhat unusual position for that 8 ball to try to 1 rail, maybe 2 rail for that 9 ball, and have another draw as usual for that 10 ball. Having a very solid caught on that 8, leaving the positioning very natural from here on out. You're just gonna draw as I was foreseeing earlier, leaving a very nice position for the 10 ball into the corner top right corner. And with that, I think I might make the race to a 8-5 difference, leaving Chase in the hill. And as we were saying and expecting, we have Chase in the hill, leaving Chris lagging behind. And we have a terrific 2-10 comp. Display coming from Chris after recovering from such incredible exhaustion and lagging behind from Chase. He has an incredible break, especially making now 3 non-dry breaks in the race, calling the 110 combo. With that, he might be able to make it 8-7, changing the tide and atmosphere of the game. And he makes it again with another. He might make the 10 on the break, but we don't allow 10 on the breaks and golden breaks, so he has to respot that 10 ball. Although he has a very comfortable position for the 1 in the middle pocket, but sadly the 1 stayed by the sticker. So they're trying to discuss how they might leave and respot the 10 ball in its place. I think they've reached an agreement, leaving the 10 ball right in front of the 1 ball, which makes my suggestion over the 1 ball into the middle pocket nullable. He instead calls the 1 ball into a long bang into the bottom right corner. Instead, I think it hit the 10 ball, pretty much giving all the energy into that 10 ball, bouncing both opposite long rails. And Chris is calling another early 10, so he might go for a 1-4-10 combo into the middle pocket, which, if he manages, definitely deserves a standing ovation coming from your houses and your seats. So now it's a little bit of a moment of tension. Having Chris perfectly and subtly aiming that shot as best as possible. Now it's all about the stroke. And he misses 10 ball, barely hitting the corner of the pocket. It was a very clear miss, but a very nice attempt nonetheless. And I believe Chase is going for a jump over the 7 to get position on the 1 and probably cut it into the middle pocket. If not, probably into the bottom right corner. I'm not able to tell that well. But yes, so that makes my first suggestion reality, having the 1 ball into the middle. And from here, I honestly don't know how he might come across with this 2 ball. Probably playing a safety, because I don't think he can run past that 7 ball or 8 ball in that respect to try to pocket. So that gives the floor back to Chris, having that same problem with the 7. Although he might be able to catch a little bit of the side rail to pocket the 2 ball. But still, how well of a positioning he might get on the 4 after that, I think might not be that great. Especially if he catches the 5 in a very uncomfortable side. But he goes by the 5, so he got a great position on the 4, but still misses a shot. Chase manages a straight shot on the 2 ball into the middle pocket. Now he has a great position on that 4 ball, and then worrying about the 5 probably with a right bottom shot to get position on the 5. And goes as planned, as envisioned. Honestly, it might be what defines what the results is from here. Because pretty much it's an open table now. He might get a little bit of a roll on that 6, but nothing to worry about, because he just might catch that rail at the bottom to come up for the 7. With just a slight right English, top right English, and terrific position on the 7, so he has enough angle. Oh, I think he may have rolled a lot more than he would have wished for. But if anything, he just has to worry about how strong he hits the 7 to get position on the 8, not getting that far away. But he catches the 7 perfectly and leaving a great position on the 8 ball. So he has nothing, I believe, to worry about from now on, because he can just catch 3 rail onto that 9 ball. So he can walk it in the bottom right corner, and then the 10 just comes naturally into the bottom left corner with a little bit of roll coming from the 9. And I think he just manages to use 2 rails with follow, which is a very uncomfortable shot for him. He has a moment to breathe to try to catch as much as possible for his vision to get the shot in and finish the game off. Just give a moment of silence for our player.
Sorry? Yeah. Good one.
We have Chase asking for an extension. I believe we won't allow it now. I believe he can manage this, and if he does, he finishes off the race with an incredible play. He just might go play with a 1 to 2 rail for position in the 10, but he instead overcut the 9 ball, and I think Chris might have an option for either of the corners, making it a hill race, which is completely surprising for all of us, taking into consideration that Chris was at one point 6 games behind, or 6 racks behind Chase. But the exhaustion has just been catching up with Chase after a long day. Well, Chris is just rejuvenating from here. He might have a little bit of a flexible extension with the scorpion kick. That Chris is known for, but he misses a shot and has a straight option or opportunity for Chase to take and seize advantage of and take advantage of. From here, I believe he can just simply roll, catching a rail back down for a position on the 10 ball. 1, 2, and 3 to go for the shot. I think it comes close to a 50-50 shot. Might worry about a scratch, but knowing his Chase experience with this type of shot in history, might not seem much of a challenge. He just might give it a little bit of follow so that he catches that bottom rail instead of scratching. And takes a shot, and he undercuts and scratches.
You want me to shoot it? Sure.
So Chris is just gonna be the sportsman he is known for, taking that 10 ball shot after such a huge screw up. Although throughout league, the results have been a little bit mixed between the two. I believe they have encountered each other twice. In the first game, Chase was the winner, and then in the second game, Chase actually suffered his first loss and only loss in league against Chris. I believe it was a 5-3 result, which seems like Chris is not that much behind when it comes to being able to destroy such a giant in our club such as Chase. Giant and disciplined player. It doesn't show up in the feeds.
Yeah, that's fine. 10 or the 1?
Chase calls a 10 ball into the middle pocket. I think he might go for a little bit of ricochet from hitting the 1 ball. But he hits the 10 ball way too solid. It may have scratched. And with that, we might have defined the tide of the last rack. This leaves Chris with pretty much of an open field, what I said before, where he can either cease and finish this off in his favor, or suffer the consequences of such a rough start, where he gave Chase such a huge advantage and huge gap. With that, Chris missed the 2 ball, giving us such a clear combo for a 210 shot. We have clear frustration coming from Chris. But Chase instead missed 10, catching the corner. We are exhibiting frustration from both sides because they're clearly not playing to their full potential, and justifiably they feel frustrated with each other, but that's not going to stop them from keep playing. And now he gets a great position on the 3 coming from a draw. Now he might have to worry about how he comes around that 5 because, as I was gonna say, the 9 ball was in the way. So he might have to go for a bank if he feels aggressive and offensive, which he does call for. And might even define the game right now. The result of the game. He runs short from that bank, and now I think Chase has a clear open shot. I think from the camera it seems like he does have a straight shot, but from where I'm sitting might seem like a slight curve. From the way he's placing the cue, it seems like it's a straight shot, so I'm just gonna trust in his instincts, which, yes, sure enough, it was a straight shot. So now he has to come around that 6 ball into how he's gonna pocket it in. He calls the bank into the bottom right corner. Let's see how it goes. It seems like it's coming way too short. Hitting the rail first. And now it's up to Chris to see what might happen. He just might want to follow after this. So he catches that bottom rail to try to position himself for a long shot into the 7, and he comes around the 8 ball, I believe. So he's not obstructed from there. If not, he can just try to catch a rail into a kick cut shot. But instead he fouls with the 8 ball, so that gives Chase the ball in hand, and I believe this might finish everything off. So thank you for your stream for today's long and achieving playoff tournament. All from in part of or in position of all our players, I'm pretty sure and confidence in that I can speak in behalf of all of us, and is definitely your support that keep us playing and our passion and love for this incredible game of pool. I hope that we keep having the same support and results coming from all the players for next semester, next upcoming school year. And with that, we have Chase down to the last ball. He's calling that top left corner. Having a slight cut. Worrying especially about overcutting, because overcutting might cost him the game if it comes way too hard off the cushion. And if he undercuts again, if it comes way too hard on the cushion, it might risk the top right corner. But with that is such a solid shot, and we have the conclusion of our race. And our winner is Chase Kohlmeyer. Our runner-up is Chris Gastineau.